Hello everyone, my name is Jodie Garcia and I am an administrative nursing graduate student at the University of Texas Arlington. I am currently enrolled in Leadership in Complex Healthcare Systems. Today I am reviewing a book titled Fierce Conversations, Achieving Success at Work and in Life, One Conversation at a Time by Susan Scott. Author's qualifications. Susan Scott is a best-selling author and leadership trainer who has enabled executives worldwide to engage in dialogue with one another, with their employees, and with their customers for over 20 years. For 14 years, Ms. Scott ran think tanks for CEOs and designed and delivered training to peers and working CEOs in 18 countries. Ms. Scott is a recognized leader in executive education focused on achieving results through skillful and courageous dialogue through fierce conversations. Previously, Ms. Scott served as Vice President of the PACE Network, a search firm in Seattle, and also as a regional manager for Context Associated, a trading organization headquartered in San Francisco. Ms. Scott was raised in Tennessee and now lives in Seattle. Purposes of the book. The book covers several purposes by which managers, CEOs, and actually anyone can live by. Scott states in her book that we should overcome barriers to have meaningful conversation with our employees, peers, and loved ones. We should explore issues by delving for increased clarity with an impetus for change. During conversations with others, we should explore the sense of presence during these conversations. They should be conversations, not versations. Con is a Spanish word for with. She also states that we should confront the everyday obstacles in our lives. She compares life as curly, not straight. Also noted in her book is the idea that we should converse with others without unintentionally sending a wrong message. She mentions that the conversations we have with others is also our relationship. Also, one key point she mentions is that sometimes listening to silence can help resolve issues. Sometimes teams need to sit quietly in silence and think about the issues or questions at hand to come up with resolutions. Overall, the general idea or principle which encompasses Scott's philosophy is the 7 principles of fierce conversations. 1. Master the courage to interrogate reality. We are changing all the time, but we neglect to share this with others. To help others better understand us, we should share our reality. 2. Come out from behind yourself into the conversation and make it real. Have a real conversation. This supports change. 3. Be here, prepared to be nowhere else. Scott says, speak and listen as if this is the most important conversation you will ever have with this person. 4. Tackle your toughest challenge today. Scott says the problem named is the problem solved. 5. Obey your instincts. Listen to your radar. Tune into what you feel. 6. Take responsibility for your emotional wake. There are no trivial comments which come from a leader. People will remember what you said. 7. Let silence do the heavy lifting. As I previously mentioned, silence can help to resolve issues. Target audience. The intended target audience for this book is actually everyone. As the title of the book states, Fierce Conversation, Achieving Success at Work and in Life, one conversation at a time. Not only can CEOs, managers, employees benefit from this book, but so can husbands, wives, family, and friends. These fierce conversations occur everywhere and every day. Book's strengths. The book has some really good points. I really enjoyed how Scott delivered the overall message from beginning to end. She carried us through the journey of the 7 principles of a fierce conversation. Not only did she discuss the principles, she also covered topics of mineral rights, the decision tree, and how to use a confrontational model. Mineral rights is the idea that it is better to drill down to the core of the issue than poking around aimlessly to see if you strike oil. Scott also discusses the use of a delegation tool she calls the decision tree. I enjoyed how she compared the decision tree to leaves, branches, trunk, and a root of a tree. As our professional development grows, so does our decision making. There are leave decisions, make a decision, act on it, and don't report it. There are branch decisions, make a decision, act on it, report the action you took. Trunk decisions, make a decision, report your decision before you take action. And lastly, root decisions, make the decision jointly with input from many people. Scott also incorporated the confrontational model into her book. I found this one to be one of the best topics in her book. It helps managers and leaders to have the courage, ability, and know-how to speak with subordinates regarding the issues and problems effectively. Book's weaknesses. In contrast to the book's strengths, I found it difficult to find weaknesses in her writing. If I had to choose, I would say it was the use of unnecessary narratives throughout the writing. I enjoyed some of the examples she gave throughout, but at times it seemed as if there were too many. In addition to the extraneous narratives, she used assignments throughout her writing. It might have helped the flow of the reading if she would have saved the use of assignments for the end of the book. Objectives. I believe the author Susan Scott achieved her objective in writing this book. She effectively guided me through her understanding of what a fierce conversation is. When one first thinks of fierce, you may get the visual image of something threatening or cruel. The word fierce, defined, actually means robust, intense, strong, powerful, and eager. Scott defines a fierce conversation as a conversation in which we come out from behind ourselves into the conversation and make it real. She presented tools for us as leaders to use effectively when facing tough challenges. For example, obeying one's instinct, avoiding the use of the word but and substituting it with the word and also using questions instead of declarative statements when dealing with fierce conversations. Recommendations. Overall, I really enjoyed this book. I would highly recommend this book to almost anyone. I would definitely recommend it to persons of authority such as CEOs, directors, managers, and leaders in any department. I found tools within this book that I know I will be using, not only at work but at home. I believe it helps to promote self-honesty with self-reflection. It allows us as leaders to take a step back, enjoy the silence, then ask a question, and allow for someone to respond.